Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Good evening, team. Good evening, guys. Okay, let me share the link up here. Hi, team. We are live. Okay, so I'm just sharing it up, and now we will be getting started shortly, everyone. It's 9 p.m. Yep, it is. Okay, good evening, team. Nice. Great to see all you guys in the house. Nicely jumping up on the game. Sai, Mughal, Omkar. Okay, Omkar. Good to see all you people in the house. Okay. So, team, yes, let's give a couple of minutes and then we'll be getting started for the day. Meanwhile, by the time the other members join in, let's quickly do a recap of what we discussed yesterday, because mostly the today's session is going to be the yesterday's learning, everyone. So let's do a quick recap of that. So first of all, we are talking about the technical process which will be done in the IT industry. So as part of that, yesterday we started speaking a lot of things about a use case, then how will the developers be coming together for developing the application and how the coding will happen. A bit about it we covered yesterday. Okay, and as part of the today's approach, we really have to continue the process further from there. Okay. Yes. So just a few things. Uh, I will even be relating. A few days ago, we spoke about agile approach, right? So agile software development approach. Some meetings will be conducted as part of that. So I would even be relating that as part of today's session. So everything together. Okay, nothing but technical process, the tools that is used, along with that, the process, over and all entire structure of how the project is developed, we will be covering today. Okay, and I personally feel it's going to give a huge value add, and just like even for freshers, it's going to give a lot of clarity about how you should work and behave once you get inside the IT industry. And especially for those who would be claiming gap as experience, these are like mandatory things. Not having it is going to have concerns because you will be nervous, scared, and feel automatically the things come out, guys. Okay, so it will just be coming out. So that's what it is. So just knowing technical things, apart from that, you need to know all the things which we are speaking as part of these 2 days. Okay, so fine, chalo, let's get started. The time is already 9:03, so time is very critical, so we'll straight away get started with the things. Okay, so first of all, guys, we spoke yesterday till a point a requirement has come and somebody needs to develop. So how the developers continue with it, right? Okay, so developers, like, they will be first finalizing the contract, and after that UI team will have their own development, the server team will have their own development. So till yesterday we stopped at this point. Okay, but I want to add a few more things today. Okay, so first of all, as part of as part of the agile process, as part of the software development methodology with agile process, we covered three primary things. There are three roles which will be there in the company: product owner, scrum master, and the team. Okay, so they all use the tool called as Jira for tracking the project end to end. Okay, so they are tracking it all in Jira kind of software. Or end-to-end project management, multiple other software will be there, either Jira or something like Jira. Okay, so don't worry, there is, I have worked in multiple tools. Jira is there, Microsoft Planner is there, Aha is there, Asana is there. So for different projects I had different tools which was used, but Jira is something which is very common, and like it has really enhanced with a lot of features basically. Okay, so just understand, the product manager will come, the product owner will come and will be specifying the requirements in the Jira tool. Okay, in the form of something called as user story. Nothing but from the perspective of the user, the end customer, they will write the requirements. That is the step number one. Next, these requirements will be discussed with the technical team on a regular basis in some session called as a grooming session, where to and fro a lot of discussions will happen, guys, because they go, communication is one of the things which needs to be really right in the IT industry. Okay, if there are things only written, guys, kya hota hai, dekho, even if I'm trying to explain you things so nicely, still you might still have some questions, right? Some concerns might be there, something might not be clear, different people will have different situation. So this is the same problem in the IT industry. Let's say whatever I am saying, if I just put everything in document, I am very much sure that when all you people will read it, still there will be some confusions. So then, guys, that's what happens in IT. Even if requirements are put up somewhere, after reading, people might misinterpret. That is where it is required to have calls. So guys, I would highly recommend, so once the user story is written, get in calls with the product owner to discuss what exactly is written, why that is there. If you have still some questions, ask the questions, and then to and fro will happen. Then the requirements will be properly understood by the technical team. So this is what will happen as part of some dedicated meeting might be scheduled called as grooming meeting or requirement refining meeting. It could be called as any of the terminology. Okay? Now, once that work is done, next, in agile environment, we work in the form of sprints. We already heard about it. Sprint is nothing but a small limited time frame. It could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Okay. So it is like this limited time frame in which you choose which features can be completed and then delivered back to the customer. So nothing but these kind of things will happen as part of the sprint planning meeting, where the entire team comes together. So even, guys, before going to the coding, again the team comes together, they visits the backlog which the product owner has prioritized for them, and then starts picking up the item. So guys, again, Jira, in Jira itself, you log in, you will see this backlog. So you go, you get to the Jira, you start picking up items one by one, you discuss with the team, and now here comes the point, estimation. As part of one session, we covered the point, how do you estimate, or why it is important to estimate. Nothing but you should be able to know, for doing this much of work, I would need 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 5 days. Like how much development time, how much QA time, all that clarity needs to be thought before you do the coding. So all of that is going to happen as part of sprint planning meeting. The entire team says, okay, so and so person will work on the UI, on the database, on the server. It has so many features inside it, and every of the piece will take so much of the time. So on an average, how much time it is going to take. Okay, and then some numbers will be coming out, and then you accordingly define, oh, this is possible to close in 2 weeks, this is not possible to close in 2 weeks. All of that drama will happen as part of the sprint planning meeting. Now, once the features are finalized in the sprint planning meeting, we give the communication back to the product owner. Hey, for this next 2 weeks, we are going to complete 4 features. So in an email, you would be providing it. So guys, expectation abhi set ho gaya. You picked up a requirement, you gave it to the like product owner. Now the product owner will be like, finish it and give it. बाद में जाके you cannot tell this problem, that problem, I am not able to do this, I am not able to do that. Everything whatever you promised should be delivered. That's almost sure. Very worst cases, guys, some things might be here and there, and then product owner will understand, but generally it should not become a repeated thing. That means you are not good in analysis. If the things get pushed, you planned something, you're not able to meet something. If it happens once, it's fine. But if this becomes a repeated habit, people around you will understand that you're not good in your analysis and your estimations. Already a negative image ban jayega fir in front of people. So don't miss your timelines, guys. If you say something, do whatever it is to make it happen. An image you have to create in the IT industry. So be a trustworthy person. Okay, people should be able to count on what you say. Not like, अरे ये तो ऐसे बोलने के लिए बोलता है. That image also happens in the IT industry if you don't take care of your image properly. Okay, fine. So work for being a good professional, a great professional, not like bas kaam chalao type wala banda. We don't want to be average in the industry. We want to be the best in the best. And for that, some discipline, self-ethics are required. Fine. Moving on further. So once this is done, Now the requirement, now let's say we started with the development. So yesterday we covered it. We are not going to reiterate the same flow again. Okay, we will straight away talk about main key points and then continue further. We'll not repeat the use case of yesterday. Okay, now there are three parties basically. Okay, so you took a requirement. For developing this requirement, there are three parties involved. Okay, one is the UI developer. If the feature has UI development, UI developer will be required, a server developer will be required, and a tester will be required. Tester is also called as a QA. Okay, so there are three parties which gets busy as soon as it comes to get started with a feature development. Okay, now yesterday we spoke about the developers, the UI developer and the server developer. What they are going to do, they take the feature. Step number one, they understand the requirement. Step number two, they write the contract. Step number three, the UI guy goes in his own machines to start the coding. The server person goes in his own machine to start the coding. So both of them are continuing with the coding. Now at the same time, what is this QA doing? Okay, what is the tester doing meanwhile? Okay, so the tester is also understanding the requirement and now he's writing the test cases. It's his domain, his language, so he's writing the test cases about okay, when the developers finish the development, what all things needs to be verified. That's what is going to be the tester role basically. So first, by the time you guys are doing the development, this guy is writing the test cases. Maybe they will also have the test case review. The way you guys will do the code review, these guys will do a test case review as well. Okay, now I want to just give you a tip as a server side developer or a UI side developer. Okay, this is very important thing. In the IT, you can get productive results if you have less or no reiterations of work. Okay, there should not be reiteration, redoing the same thing again and again. Wo mat karo guys, you'll get very productive results. What does that mean? If you are doing some development, okay, it should not be you have spent like 3 days in that, then you give to the code review and the reviewer says no, this is not good, this is not good, this change, that change. It again just takes one day additional. Guys, if there is rework happening, that means things are messed up. So you should, the one way to get productivity in the IT industry is avoid any rework. And you have to plan it out. How do you avoid rework? By not making mistakes. And how do you not make mistakes? By doing upfront planning. This is how it is achieved. So nothing but if you're doing some coding. So guys, now it's left up to you guys. Talk to your team members. Hey, I'm planning to do the coding in this particular manner. High level pe baat karna, not like very granular thing, but at least high level approach. Like I'm trying to put a service like this, a helper class like this, and this is how my basic logic. High level pe. If you just spend some time talking to the person who is going to do the code review, so you and him both will be on the same page. When you give the code back to them for verification, they are not going to say this is wrong, that is wrong, and multiple other things. Okay, by this way guys, do upfront planning, be it UI developer, server. And in the beginning stage, this is important to do experiments, collect results, but go and then pitch to them, okay, I'm doing it like this, I have finalized this thing, is that okay, or some change needs to happen. So by that way your rework will be really saved, and that's how you will get productive results in the IT industry. Okay, fine. Now how the things happen further? Okay, so developers are continuing, the QA team is continuing. Now let's talk about the further next phases. So guys, for development, yesterday we spoke about your machine will be there, IDE will be there, Maven dependencies will be there, Spring dependencies will be there, database dependencies will be there, Log4j tool dependency will be there. Now let me add one more thing to that. Okay, unit testing. Okay, now simple funda guys. Why is unit testing important? First of all, what happens is you are doing the development in your local machine. Okay, many times if you work for big projects, the end-to-end server system is not going to run in your local machine guys. It's not possible. There are many services. A bada system is actually a very big system. There would be so many services, not like one Tomcat and just one var file. It would be a very big kind of system which needs a lot of things. If you get into microservices, gateway aa jata hai, usme Zool aa jata hai, okay, and then there are so many services. Sometimes Eureka will come there, and like you have to host functionally also. There will be multiple services for big projects. All those things will be there. So it's not practically possible to run your code full-fledged in your local machine itself. So for that, you might have to do some deployment somewhere else. As part of today, we are going to understand those pieces also. But just know it, you're going to take the code which you have written, deploy it somewhere else, and then do the testing there. Now, just understand what is going to happen. It is going to be a time-taking process, yes or no? Taking your code, using the build tool to build a jar file or a var file, now taking that from your local machine, going to the deployment server, deploying it, restarting it. You know what will happen after doing all of this work? Sometimes where what silly problems come up. Typo, like some like syntactically is correct because you have used my like IDE, so syntactically so everything is going to be good, but in actual reality by mistake some logic you have not written properly, simple copy paste mistake ho jate at times. ये वेरिएबल ही दो बार लिख दिए हो इन अ फॉर लूप, गलती से आई के जगह you have used j for the logic, and while you do all that of drama, you have done so much thing. Take it, build it, move it, deploy it, restart it, and then you realize, oh, instead of I use j. What you have to do? Come back in the local, make changes, build it, move it, deploy it. And you know what? While you work in these environments, it is not just you alone working with it. There might be multiple other people. Nothing but you are wasting their time also, your time also. So it is highly recommended before going even, okay, before even going to these kind of systems, integration systems or the development environments, you take some time out to write unit testing in your system. Now, what is a unit testing? Basically, your system should not be dependent on any external system, and you should be able to validate the logic that you have written is correct or not. This is unit testing. Okay, let me repeat it once more. Unit testing basically is you need to have the ability to test only your code without external dependencies. For example, yesterday we spoke about, okay, server guy, you're trying to call the third party for mobile notification. If you write the unit testing, you don't need the third party anymore. You can just write your logic. If I call this method, I am expecting this to come in a response from the third party. Now, how do you process the response? You just have to verify that. Nothing but your logic testing will happen without the need of the third party and even without the need of the connecting to the database also. That's the beauty part of unit testing. Everything outside your service or your class is not going to be required for you anymore, and that's how people will write unit testing, which saves a lot of time, like build time, deployment time, and फिर end-to-end test करना guys, वो सब time will be saved, and it's really going to be very much useful. So guys, there are multiple unit testing tools available in the market. JUnit is one, TestNG is one. Okay, so like explore through things. Okay, now apart from this exploring, there is like what we said is external dependencies will be mocked. So there are some tools for mocking also. Mock is nothing but instead of calling the actual endpoint or the API, you will be mocking the behavior that when my code will call it, I expect you feed it. I expect success to come in the response, and you define that. That is mocking. Means you don't call the actual API, rather you invoke your mock and then you get the result with that. So there are some mocking softwares like JMockit or Power Mockito. Okay, ऐसे कुछ तो okay. So JMockit or Power Mockito, these are some tools available with Java for doing mocking. I think similarly in other programming language also you'll find it. Even the UI guys also have their own mocking systems there. थोड़ा Google करके find it out based on your domain, and this is how will happen. So first you do the development. Second, you don't want like you do the deployment, and देखो guys, अभी क्या होगा? I'll tell you. What we are saying, the UI and the server guy both have written the code. Now they have to integrate and test it. Yes or no? Right? Nothing but the UI person will say, hey, server guy, can you please deploy the code somewhere so that I can actually call your API? Yesterday's use case. What do you want to test? You pass username, password in. Some JWT token should come outside. Nothing but the UI person will need you to deploy your server code in some environment. and then the UI team member is going to connect to that environment and then do the code integration, right? This is what is going to happen. Now let's say if there is a UI person and you are the server guy, and now you say, hey, I'm ready with my code, but you have not done enough unit testing. You just take the code, you deploy it, and you tell to the UI, hey, I've done the deployment, and as soon as he calls, there are problems coming in your code, bugs are coming, it doesn't look good. Yes or no? After doing entire coding, the UI says, "Arey, null pointer exception is coming, this is coming, that is coming, your API is not responding properly, success is not coming, where is the JW2 token, this is missing, that is missing." Multiple concerns might come. That is where what is highly required is step-by-step process. Now I'll tell you. First, you develop code. Second, you write unit testing, because it will save a lot of your further time of deployment, building and all that. Once these two things are done, then you take this code, you build it, you deploy it onto the server. And after that, before telling to the UI that the code is available, you test your own code. Nothing but the developer has to test their own code. Test all possible cases, whatever you feel, via postman, call it. Guys, एक चीज IT में there is one problem with some people. They take things very lightly. अरे it's okay ना, आगे QA team है, the testers are going to catch the problem, then why should I worry so much? कोई ना कोई आगे तो anyways it will be caught. So kind of careless attitude. Such projects will definitely suffer a lot. Okay, so be responsible. You are a developer. We need that before you give to the QA, you should be 100% confident that there are no bugs in the system. Whose level, that level of quality of a work is expected from developers, and such people will become great in their development career. Not everybody becomes great. Though granted लेगा ना, life भी granted देंगी, so don't worry about that. Life is fair and square, people. Okay, so just understand that. So quality developer has to assure it. So you do your own deployment before even telling to the UI. You do your own testing via Postman, and once you're done with the testing, everything looks good. Then you tell to the developer, hey, UI developer, I'm done with my deployment. Now could you please test it? Fine. Now could you please integrate it? So then what happens is, in the local whatever coding the UI developer does, he points to the right environment. We will speak about the environments in some time. Okay, we'll speak on the environments, but the UI developer is going to point to the right environment, and then he does the entire integration. Whatever he was using mocks, now he will remove the mock, and he's directly going to call the server, will check the response and try to integrate all of the use cases. Success, failure, 500, 400, 300, all kind of messaging has to be handled on the UI side. And then we say the UI and server together, they are doing dev integration testing. The UI and the server member is together doing dev integration testing. And generally there will be, like, if the project is good project, there is budget and all that thing, they will be allocated a dev environment. Okay, now we are launching the first time term development environment, or the dev environment. It is generally a Linux based environment. Okay, now these environments could be your own, something which your company is hosting it, or nowadays it's very common that these environments will be hosted in cloud, AWS service or Azure service or Google cloud service or any other providers. Okay, so some service online, a machine will be there. On those on that machine, all the softwares, your servers, and then you have to do the code deployment in that machine for working with it. Okay, now how do you do that? How do you deploy code on that? First, the code deployment, in the sense, guys, in the end, the jar file or the var file, that's what is the deployment you have to in the end do. Yes or no? Or if it is Spring Boot, the file itself goes jar file and you run it, and embedded Tomcat will start automatically. Okay, now the thing is, in your local machine you build it. Fine, the file is built. Now, based upon what operating system the developer is using, either it could be Windows, or it could be Ubuntu, or it could be Mac. Now, the different operating system will have different ways of connecting to the third party and doing the deployment. Okay, so now if you are a Windows user, there are some softwares which you need to be aware of, like WinSCP or Mobaxterm or Putty. Okay, these are some three softwares. Using these softwares, you can connect your Windows environment to Linux environment, which is in cloud and all that, and then you can copy the jar file or the val file from the local machine to the required place, and even you can go connect to that machine and you can run some commands there as well, like shell script. That's where the basic Linux commands will be required for developers, like basic shell scripting, how to kill a service, how to start a service, how to see the logs, how to tail, how to grep, how to move files, rename files, how to use a vi editor. All that basic knowledge is definitely going to be required, people. This is required. Okay, fine. So this is what, no, be aware. If you're using a Ubuntu or a Mac, so there the life is simple. They already have some terminal. Okay, like in Ubuntu or Mac, they have terminal command line hota hai. With that you can straight away connect. You can use a scp command, which is like remote copy. You can move it there, you can connect to that, you can run it. So you don't need these additional softwares like Windows does. Okay, fine. So this is what it is. So the developers will be connecting, doing the deployments there, and even the UI team member will do it, and then everything is going to be good and happy. Okay, meanwhile the tester will be done with the testing. Okay, now let's understand, guys. Now the process which I'm going to speak with you people now, it might not be 100% followed in all the projects, but this is the best way of doing application development. Many people in the genuine IT companies are also not following the process what we are going to discuss right now, but still the project works. But if you do, it is going to be more beneficial for you, whether you're genuine or whatever it is. So I would recommend you should know the right ways of doing application development. Okay, now what is this process? Okay, fine. Now guys, IT industry has evolved a lot, right? If you're a fresher, you might not even know the standards of doing coding, right? Even as a junior, pata hi nahi hoga ki how you should do, how you should not do, blah blah blah. Now the world has realized this fact. Arey yaar, every time a new joiner comes or a beginner comes, itna time you have to spend on that person to train him, guide him. But in the end result, the projects are suffering, right? So nothing but some smart people of the world, they created static code analyzer kind of tools. Okay, static code analyzer, nothing but the tool name could be Sonar Lint or Sonar Cube. This comes in a package. Okay, so Sonar is the tool which is a static code analyzer. What you need to do is you just need to give your source code. You run this Sonar tool on your source code, and then the Sonar will be having some predefined internal rules, and it will identify where you have done bad coding in the application development. Predefined rules will be there, which is done by some smart people, and you just run those rules. These will be some industry standards, these would be right practices of coding, and if you run it on your code, the tool itself will say, hey, this is not good, do it like this is not good, do it like this. Means functionally you will be able to code, but if you are really bad in your standards, in the logic that you have written, unnecessary both looping and all that, right, the static code analyzers will find it. By that way you will become a very proficient developer. You will write always performance efficient code if you use these kind of static code analysis. Not many companies or teams does it, but I would highly recommend to do it. Free of cost aata hai, set up kar lo, kaam chal jayega. Okay, so that's what people will learn by such experiences. Fine. So Sonar Cube ho gaya, Sonar Lint ho gaya, and then you just run it, fix it, and do it accordingly. This is first step. Second, if in that there are observations, you have to then make the code changes, again run the tool will say now it's all okay. Now take this code again, build it, deploy it on the server, the UI server will be integrating. Now both of you should be happy, we are done with our code. Okay, now abhi thoda guys, things are tricky. ऐसा नहीं कि things easily हो जाएंगे. Guys, you need to know what's the right way of working. As part of yesterday, we said the code that you're writing has to be maintained or managed in a central repository like subversioning tool like Bitbucket or GitHub or SVN or ClearCase, a central place where the code is going to be organized. Okay, now if you're claiming gap as experience, you really need to know. People don't directly code, like you need to know how the branching model will be there, because every project has a branching model, and if you're not aware of that, it's a very big problem. Okay, every code is going to have a branching model. Now I know it is going to go bouncer for some of the people because you might not have heard about it, but this is there in the industry. Right from day one you will find it. So I think it is your responsibility to know these facts, especially not freshers, okay, or don't, or those who don't have experience. They should know all these facts, mandatory. Okay, now there will be different branching model followed by different companies. There is no one particular standard, but definitely every company will have a branching model on which the developers are supposed to work. If you are a UI developer or a server developer, on whatever projects you are working for, okay, it could be Java, Python, this, that, technology doesn't matter. You have to have your code organized and maintained in a model, nothing but how it will be branched. Okay, now let's understand a few things. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and do some things with you so that we can better relate the things through. Okay, थोड़ा guys नटराज सर का स्टाइल करेंगे अपन, पेंट ब्रश लेके मस्ती करते हैं, ठीक है? Fine. So I'm opening a paint brush application here. Okay, fine team. So chalo, let's get started for the item. Okay. So let's say, guys, understand it very carefully. All those like beginners, 0 to 2 years, 0 to 3 years, this is mandatory for you to understand. Okay, what has happened is there is a master branch. Nothing but whenever you talk about any code repository is one place where the code is going to be arranged. Okay, so when you talk about any code repository team, it's going to have a master branch. This is the default. Okay, master branch is the branch from where the code will go to the production environment. Okay, now second, there will be different company will have a different naming. Okay, but there will be something called as, let's say, develop branch, or some people also called it as integration branch. Okay, so क्या होगा यहाँ पे develop branch integration, but we need to understand what is the need of this. Okay, master branch, development branch, or integration branch, and then there is going to be something like feature branch. Okay, nothing but there could be again feature 1, feature 2, multiple features could be being worked upon. Understand. Okay, n number of features might be there. Now this is how the project is generally going to be aligned. Okay, ठीक है, master branch will be there, develop branch or integration branch will be there, and then the feature branches. Nothing but guys, what will happen is, understand, you're working in a bigger team. Now different people will be working on different features. We already spoke about it in the sprint planning meeting. You gave a commitment, we will work on 4 features. Immediately what the team is going to do, they will go to the integration branch of your system, and from this branch they will be cutting 4 feature branches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 feature branches will be cut, and each of your team member will start doing the development on these feature branches. They are not going to do direct development here. They are not going to do development on the master. ये सब आगे वाली चीज है. You will cut a feature branch. You will be doing the development on the feature branch primarily. Okay. Now, whatever we spoke so far about the dev and UI server integration, all of that coding was happening in the feature branch. And you need to understand one thing, guys. On a daily basis, go ahead committing the change on the feature branch. Nothing but keep pushing your code. So nothing but, yeah, this is where you are a developer. You are a developer here. So you are doing the coding in this, but you need to keep pushing the change on the feature branch which you are coding into. Okay, so this is a mandatory thing, so you need to do this. Yeah, आ गया भाई spray. Okay, so you need to keep pushing, because guys, what happens is many a times hardware issues or anything might come, your machine might crash or any kind of problems might happen just like that. Okay, your machine might not really be working, or hard disk is crashed, corrupted, and now your IT support team will say, hey, we have to format the entire machine, we cannot give you the code back. These kind of cases really happened. It happened with me also, it happens with many people in the IT industry. You don't know when what is going to go wrong, and if you're having the code, maybe a 1 week's work, but you have not put it into this machine crash, you have to do the entire work again, which is a very big problem. So that's the reason it is highly recommended on a daily basis, keep committing the changes to your feature branches as and when something is ready. It is only your local feature related branch basically. Fine. So now on the feature branch, then what happens is, this is where guys, there is going to be a development environment. Okay, there is going to be a development environment, dev environment. Okay, now whenever the feature was ready, along with this branch, it is going to be deployed in the dev environment. And this is where guys, I spoke about, if there are multiple features, let's say 3 features working together at one time, only one branch can go here. Yes, it is required that in the end all the 3 branches has to be merged together and then it goes to production, but at one particular time only one branch can go here, right? If feature 1 is running on the dev environment, feature 2 and feature 3 cannot run. They have to wait till feature 1 is removed back from there, and then these guys do the deployment and their testing. Understand the situation. Now in this case, you will really know, like, you're wasting other people's time if you're not doing the unit testing properly. Okay, that's how important it is. And guys, the world is trying to solve this problem now with Docker. We are trying to remove this dependency. Okay, with Docker we are trying to remove this dependency. Okay, by every environment, every developer should have their own environment so that they can even test it, but it's a tough thing to achieve. But with Docker it is possible to reach to that kind of state. There is already some multiple projects which have started using that also to remove this dependency. But still in the IT there are so many projects where this kind of dependency will be there, multiple features working towards the same development environment. Okay, fine. Understand. Once this work is done and once these people look fine with this, you say, okay, so my feature is ready for giving to tester. Okay, but guys, यहाँ पे important thing is there. You promised 3 features to the release or to the sprint. You said 3 features will be done. Now what your work is, you need to merge your entire, guys, understand, यहाँ पे bit bucket or whatever branching you are using, in that a merge operation will be there. You need to merge this feature branch to the development branch. Nothing but the flow will go like this. You need to merge the code. That is your second step. Okay, now when the code is merged, now let's say meanwhile some other featured person, like he says, hey, my code is also ready, I also want to give it to the tester. Okay, now what he does it, this guy also merges the code. Now this is where guys, n number of features might be under development, but eventually one copy has to go to production. Now all of these people will be merging their code together. All of these features whichever are ready will be merging the code together. Now understand, there might be some merge conflicts happening. Okay, nothing but if 2 people have modified the same file, there is going to be some problem here. So the merge conflicts have to be resolved. Just be aware of it. While doing the merge, if there is conflicts, then both the developers sit together and resolve the conflict. Okay, bhai, his code should also work, your code should also work. Once that resolution is done, the code will be available in one single branch called as develop branch or the integration branch. And then you start your testing as part of this branch. Okay. And now when this testing is done, it is going to be applied in a different second environment now, nothing but a QA environment. Nothing but यहाँ पे आ जाएगा guys QA environment. So this becomes like for the QA. Okay, so this code will go to the QA environment. Now the tester is going to say, okay, so all the features which are promised for the release will be tested here, and once the testing is looking good, then the QA will give a sign off saying, hey, we have verified all the features and everything is looking good. Okay, now let's talk about some case here. If there are problems, right, bugs are coming, because the tester work is to find problems in the code, because we should not give the problems to the end customers. So the tester is testing everything very nicely. Let's say a bug comes, something is not working as expected. Okay, let's take one use case and understand how will that work. Okay, so fine, so the QA said, okay, I tracked in my Excel sheet or my test cases, like if I do these, I'm expecting this, but in reality something else is happening. That means it's a bug. So the requirement is not matching. If that comes, what the tester is going to do, the tester logs in into the same Jira tool. The Jira is having that capability. Okay, he will log in into the same Jira tool, and then he's going to file a bug. Nothing but the way product owner created a user story for requirement. Similarly, the tester is going to create a bug. There will be a way available. Okay, so just don't, issue type will be there where you can choose a bug, and now they will create a bug with all the description. Like, okay, we tested this, we were expecting this, but we got this, that is where it's a bug, and then you will be assigning it to the developer who has worked on it. And guys, you already know, so in the sprint planning meeting, even the QA will be available. So they know that which feature, which people are working into. Okay, so in Agile, things are very transparent. So now the QA will be filing a bug on the developer. Now comes the tricky thing, people. Now, as a developer, you need to now explore, do the debugging, find what is the root cause, and then fix the bug if it is a genuine bug. Okay, sometimes it might be misunderstanding. Okay, every bug is not a genuine bug. Invalid bugs might be there, or like product requirement gaps might be there. So different situations might come. It's not like everything has to be fixed. Okay, so you will first understand what the problem is, read the details. So once the bug is assigned to you, read the details about it. Just see whether that is the requirement which the product owner gave. Is there a misunderstanding in QA understanding, or your understanding, or both understanding? We don't know. So first check whether whatever is being asked for, is that really a requirement. Okay, now if it is not a requirement, you just tell to the QA that it is an invalid bug, because the requirement says it has to be developed like this. If there is question, you talk back to your product owner to get it further clarified, and then work together to achieve it. This is fine. But now if it is a valid bug, like you understand, no, yeah, these were the requirements, I need to finish it accordingly. You do all that work, and then what you are supposed to do is, okay, you need to start debugging, okay, what is going wrong. And guys, simple way of debugging, it's not just a code dekhte raho guys. You need to apply log4j and logging very precisely. So in the code, you will be applying log statements, right? So when the code is executing behind the screen on the Linux machine, there will be some log statements generated into some file. So now what you have to do is you have to go to the environment and check your log statements. So whenever you're performing these actions, what exactly is happening in the flow, and relate those log statements with your code base in your local machine. And then you will understand, oh, this is should not work like this. Oh, if it is going in this if block, it should not go in the if block. Why the condition is becoming true? Then you will be able to find all those things. That's what is nothing but debugging. Spending some time to figure out like what is going wrong. Okay, now you will be doing all that work. Sometimes guys, it becomes really tough to identify something with the log statements, because log statements, you might not write everything in logs. Okay, so वहाँ पे Eclipse में remote debugging feature is there guys. I would highly recommend एक बार वो देख लो. It's really nice. Okay, you can start your third party or server in a debug mode enabled, and then via Eclipse you can connect to that server, and you can debug line by line. It's a very beautiful feature. It will like definitely catch all your problems. Okay, so explore that. Fine. So once we are done, so then the developer will be fixing the problem. It will be putting the fix on the feature branch, deploying it on the dev environment. If it is testing and looking good, you will take that feature, merge it back to the integration branch, give it to the QA for testing, and then the cycle will continue till the QA signs off all the feature. QA sign off, that's the terminology, nothing but the QA will give an assurance that everything is looking very good. Okay, so this is what it is. Now once that is done, then the code goes further, and then it is going to be merged into master. Then the code is going to be merged into master, uh, and a proper tag will be created. Don't get a bit tagging, और ज़्यादा too much हो जाएगा, okay? But then the code will be merged into master, and from this master environment, it is going to be deployed on the prod environment. I'm taking a simple system, okay? Master code will be deployed in the prod environment, and then it is given to customers. There might be some other project where they say, no, 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 don't go to production because it is very risky to go to direct production. We want you to do a deployment in a stage environment for UAT purpose. Some projects will ask for this. Okay, stage deployment for UAT purpose. So then what will happen is, from this integration branch, you will cut another branch called as a release branch. Okay, and this release branch, guys, I know, okay, yeah, this release branch is going to be deployed here, and then it is the way QA sign off happened, like that stage sign off will happen, and then this release branch will be merged to the master branch. This is how the system will work. Okay, now this is how the models work. This is how your entire branching model is going to be related to the environments which you use for developing an application. So now what I'll do is, I'll just copy this everything, okay, and I'll just be pasting it for your reference so that you can have it. Let me go real time. I'll just paste it up as part of our WhatsApp groups. Okay, 1 2 और कहाँ गया भाई? 1 2 3 and then the IT workshop. Okay, fine. Now coming back to the flow. Okay, fine. So this is how the environments will be managed. Okay. Now let me turn it off so that we can talk it further. Stop sharing screen. Okay, Steve. So hope these details are going properly. Okay. Hope these details are going properly with you people. Okay. Now let's take it further, team. Okay. Now, once you get into this model, okay, guys, okay, what has happened is, you have taken the code, it has gone to all the environments. Once you have done the deployment, and then it is going to be like happy, happy, all things good. Now, just understand, we have like, still there will be some more things which we have tried to first reach to the end, but there will be some more things. For example, some customers might be there. Hey, we need to do load testing before you go to the production. Okay, sometimes it might be required. Nothing but, like, while the QA is testing, how many QA will we have? Like 2 QA, 3 QA. So it's not really possible, right? It's not really possible to do the load generation with 2 3 people. Load is going to be like 500 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people. Now that's where you should know how will your server behave if 10,000 people are trying to access the system at the same time. What will be the behavior? Nothing but you have to relate with the real world, right? Facebook is pura globally accessible, and there are so many people using it. If so many people call, they use it every single time. If their server crashes, it's a big bad name for them, right? So you need to do that load testings to be sure, like, can your server support that kind of load if it happens? Otherwise, full application development happen, there will be no result in the end. Okay. So just understand that, people. Okay, for load testing there will be some tool. Again, developer ko karna padega. Developer has to explore and do it, load testing. Okay, now along with the tester, but major work developer ka bhi aata hai wahan pe. Okay, so don't throw work here and there. So there is a tool called as JMeter. Okay, so in JMeter you can set it up in a manner where you can generate load. You can say 100 requests per second, 200 requests per second, 500 requests per second, and based on the need of the application. So you can discuss with your seniors, okay, what is the practical load that we are expecting in the production environment. Accordingly you generate it. Okay, fine. Once that is generated, if the results are not good, you have to check the memory, you have to check the heap, you have to check the threads, and then you have to figure out what's going wrong and why, how you can improve it. Now, guys, that is where some memory analyzer tools will come in picture. Eclipse memory analyzer is there. You have to take the heap dumps or the thread dumps, input those dumps in your Eclipse memory analyzer, and then understand what's going on in the memory whenever so much of load is encountered, which threads are stuck, which threads are working, why the DB connections are not coming up. All of that R&D needs to happen. Okay, some seniors will be helpful for that, or just giving you a picture of what is actually expected, team. Fine. Now once we do all that work, so load testing will come, you have to do that. Okay, now okay, there is another thing, security testing. Okay, for example, simple, right? Let's say you are a developer, you are writing a Facebook application. Okay, Facebook application में guys क्या होता है, एक यूजर नेम एक पासवर्ड है. If the username password is just shared with anybody, anybody can log into your Facebook account, right? Initially, to every website starts like that only, right? Username and password. Now जाके फिर then people have understood कि नहीं, this is a very big security breach. OTP messages आने चाहिए and all those drama has to happen. Now people are taking security very seriously. Otherwise, compromise system थे. Okay. Now the username password, if it is gone with anybody, people can use it like that, right? Now just imagine if there is a developer itself, by mistake in the logs he has printed the username and password. So you should understand all your credentials are there available on the server, which can be accessible by the technical team, and anybody can log into your accounts and see whatever is happening, which is a big security breach as a company, right? But who is going to verify that? There will be some audit teams to do it, but just understand it is a concern. And there will be some projects where they cannot take such compromises. So they will be like, okay, we want to do a security testing on your application as well. There will be some third party companies who will come and try to break down your system for security. Okay, that kind of audits are also there in the IT world. But now there are again some tools available. For example, HP company has given a paid tool, Fortify Scanner. HP Fortify Scanner. Nothing but you run that on your code base. The way Sonar counted some of the code related problems, this HP Fortify Scanner is going to point out your security related concerns as well. Hey, this is breach, that is breach. Some security rules are plugged in as part of that. Okay, now which you can use, validate, and fix it. So some projects will need that as well. Okay, fine. And now, so these are like few additional things which will come in the process. And then you go to the production environment. Okay, and once you are okay, now let me speak about one more phase, I think, which would be useful. Nothing but the code review phase. Okay, code review phase. Now just understand, team, code review, what is expected in the code review. First, whatever is functional thing, that has to be anyways developed. Okay, so whatever is the functional application, that has to be anyways developed. But apart from that, how you're writing the code, is it modular, or is it like a key method where you're writing all the logic? Those things will be considered. Like second, the naming conventions which you use for your classes, methods, variables, is it understandable? That will be considered. Okay, and some loopings, like unnecessary, are you like looping too much, or unnecessary, like you are creating so many objects where the logic can be written in a more efficient manner. Nothing but time complexity, space complexity, sometimes those things will also be considered. It depends upon the project, the intensity of the review will be different. Okay, so so other than that, readability, how it is. Okay, so functionally be verified, plus all these things also. Sometimes like how the database connection you are handling, how the threads you are handling, all of those things all will be verified. So just be sure that you're writing a good code. Google it out. What are the best practices of writing a good code? All of that is going to come as part of this section. Okay. So fine, the code will be done, and if there are feedbacks given, you have to work on that. You have to test it back again, give it back. Once it says, it will be merged back to the QA and then to the production, and this is how it works. Okay. Now let me just close the day with raising one more point. Okay, about the production support. Generally, guys, if there are small companies, small teams, there might not be a separate team for doing production support. Your team itself might be doing a production support, and the developers and the QA have to do the support work as well. If something goes wrong in the production, all of a sudden a support request might come to you. Hey, can you check into this? That kind of thing might happen. So be ready. IT life means multiple roles, and you have to be flexible to understand, learn, and work there. Okay, so these kind of support things might be coming up, but as the teams grow, okay, as the teams grow further, the more things will happen. Okay, um, a different team will be spawned for doing the production support activities. They will be monitoring the system. Okay, they will be responding to client alerts. Nothing but everything. The dashboards will be set up for production monitoring. Like, okay, what is happening to the health of the system? Okay, if something crashes, then what to do? Alerts should be set up. How is the CPU working? How is the disk size working? How is the memory RAM working? All of those things will be there. If there are exceptions coming in the production environment, those are also being real time monitored. Okay, those are being alerted. If the customers are facing any problems, those are being alerted. Nothing but a team which takes care of all of this is there, and by that way we are really going to get maximum value of the thing which we give to the customers. Okay, this is one of the things. Now let's talk something about the DevOps related role, guys. It is required in a proper system. The developer time goes more on the development and not on the build and the deployment process, because we have so many environments we spoke about, guys, right? Dev, QA, stage, and we just gave the example of one branching model of one repository. If you have, let me tell you, okay, in one of my project which I worked, we had 125 repositories. Not one, not 10, not 20. 125 code repositories were there for a single project. Itna code tha. Just imagine, manually it's not possible to do the deployments of all that. Kitna build karenge yaar, kitne jar banayenge? Not possible. You need automation in such a system, and automation can be built up by the DevOps team using Jenkins kind of a tool. So with Jenkins, everything will be available in scripts, ready-made, and that's where a continuous integration, continuous deployment, CI/CD process will be there, where the people, the companies will set it up an infrastructure in such a manner. As soon as somebody commits it, the code will automatically pull it, build it, ship it into the destination environment where the developer don't have to do anything. That is continuous integration, continuous deployment. You just need to commit it. The tool will take and do it. If there are exceptions like merge conflicts and all that, the tool will be raising that, hey, you committed something where the build failed. Emails will also come. So these kind of tools are all set up in the industry to automate the systems. Okay, now just understand, you're getting into a very mature industry. It's like past 20 years, 30 years purana industry hai, guys. Dunya kahan se kahan aa gayi hai. Okay, the world is going like anything. Okay, fine. Now one more thing I want to talk about here: QA automation process. Very important thing, but still many companies are not following it very religiously. QA automation process, guys, really, okay, if you have, guys, itna features banega. If you have a very big project, you will have so many features, like hundreds of features there, 100, 200 features rahege over a matter of 3 years, 4 years. While there are so many features, with every deployment it is not possible to do entire sanity of the system, whether this is working, that is not working, blah blah blah. It's not possible. Manually it's not possible. And even if somebody tries to do it, there will be chances of bugs. And in such cases it becomes mandatory to have automation in the system. Nothing but you write code which is going to go and do the testing on your behalf. Nothing but the testers. Manual testing is not going to be foolproof there, because you cannot test 500 use cases every single deployment wise. But it can go wrong, it can break anywhere, because manual mercy is there. So if you write test cases, automation test cases, which will be verifying all these 500 cases, you don't have to worry. You do a deployment, you click a button, and all the code is going to run one to end, and your entire system is going to be validated, and the system is going to be foolproof. Everything is happy, nothing is broken with the release. That's where automation is very mandatory thing as part of the current world. Okay, API automation will be there, UI automation will be there. Generally the QA team does the automation. Okay, but the developers have to support them while they are doing the automation stuff. Fine. So this is what happens, guys, as part of a technical end-to-end process of working in the IT industry. Okay. So fine. So just if you have some questions, people, just put up some questions in here, and then we will be closing it in like maybe 10-15 minutes. Okay. So after this line, whichever questions are there, we'll take it for some time, and then we'll be closing it up. Okay. Hope you understood, because this is what is the industry, my friend. So understand that, make the most of all these information. Don't be blank once you get into the industry. Ke kya chal raha hai, kya chal raha hai. Today's session is a very valuable one. The session will be available for a few days. Go through it once again, take some running notes about it. Let me tell you, this single session is going to make your life simple for the next 3 years if you understand every single thing what we spoke. Okay, yeah, thanks, Sashi. Yes, it would be really useful for all the people who wants to work in an IT industry in a nice manner. Okay. Yes, anything specific if you have. Okay, we have just summarized all of the data. I know that in one session, बहुत कुछ हो गया है, but still, I would highly recommend you people to go through it again. Okay. Tomorrow topic, I need to figure it out. Okay, I'll keep it updated as part of our WhatsApp group. Okay, I think based on what I feel is more important and valuable to give accordingly. So right now I've not planned for tomorrow's topic. Tomorrow during the day I'll figure out what's best for you guys, and then accordingly I'll tell it in the WhatsApp group. Okay, it's not yet planned, but we are going to continue till this entire week, and there is going to be some valuable information till the end of the week. Okay, and I'll keep that posted. Okay, fine. So I think there is no much specific tech related questions for you guys. So no worries there. Go through the same session again and be comfortable with whatever we spoke. Understand what is the developer role, what is the DevOps related role, what is QA role, and you guys have to interact with each other very closely. Okay, you guys have to. Yes. Microservice wala project 125. There is one where बहुत और ज़्यादा भी repositories है guys, like बहुत ज़्यादा repositories. Okay, yeah, we have this group now. Okay, I'm just sharing the link of the group. Okay, let me copy this link and I'll paste the link here. Okay, join the WhatsApp group. Here we keep updated about all the things. Okay, ठीक है team, so I think we are done here. So have a nice time everybody. Make the most of this knowledge and upgrade to a very greater life. And guys, remember one thing. Okay, don't play small in the IT industry. IT industry में guys, being honest, बहुत कचरा भी भरा है. Okay, many people don't know things. Many people really not able to get the work done. People in stress, people in worry, people in tension. IT में ये सब भी है. IT में politics is also there. People will not allow you to grow. Those kind of situations will also be there. ठीक है? But at the same time, there are growth-oriented people, really charm, great personalities, who will be ready to help you like anything, who will be ready to give so much knowledge to you so that you may succeed in your life. ऐसे बंदे मिलेंगे. IT has both kind of world basically. ठीक है, helpful people तो बहुत level तक help. They are like खुद का learning they will leave it so that you may learn more. ये ऐसी अच्छे अच्छे public भी IT में मिलेगी. ठीक है, and guys just understand, you need to live IT based on your sense of how should you live. Don't live on the IT industry based upon how negative people are living. They might spoil your mindset as well. They might make you, अरे don't work hard, अरे पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है, why do you want to put so much efforts, let's do some time pass now, let's enjoy, घर जल्दी जाते, ये करते वो करते. Guys, such people will spoil your career. Let me tell you, they will literally spoil your career. You will disappear with time for sure. If you get stuck, okay, if you get stuck with such negative minded people of the IT industry, your career is going to go for a toss, because you're wasting the learning time which you should have used. So understand, IT industry ko live it on your own terms, not on the mercy of such negative people. Get your mindset very clear. My job, my responsibility, my growth, my career, and I'm going to work hard. Doesn't matter whether I get paid or not. Many people in IT has a very bad mindset कि यार पैसा नहीं दे रहे, why should I work? अरे, if you don't work, you will not learn, and even the next company will not pay you money. You will not be able to crack the job. कब तक hack करोगे interview? यार knowledge ले लो. For how long you will just prepare for cracking interview and getting a job? थोड़ा सा work for giving value to the project that you are doing. Okay, work for giving value to the IT industry. Don't be burdened to the IT industry. And guys, I'm literally telling you guys, I'm leading a team of 30 members, and I really feel the burden when people are not able to do their work properly. Okay. So if they are not able to do it, they should learn, they should do, because this is their industry. They cannot hack their way into the company, because such people will be thrown out as well. Especially, I will throw them out for sure. I put them in PIP, I remove them from my team. I say, I don't want such people, because I am responsible for my job. And if you find people like me, like, your destiny is in your hands basically then. Okay. So without knowledge, you will not be surviving and having a very great career. Politics khel lo, but with that your growth will not be there. With that you will be in the average mass of the IT industry. But as part of, guys, whatever community that I am trying to build here, these sessions that I am trying to do, this is, or the life transformation programs that I am trying to do, I'm not trying to build average people as part of this process. I'm trying to build experts in whatever you do. Otherwise, all this knowledge I could have just shared it out in other platforms, and like फिर बहुत limited लोगों तक accessible रखते थे. But I'm doing it, and this is the depth knowledge which I know is mandatory for people, and I'm just trying to give it free of cost to you guys so that you can get the value of it, because the industry needs it, because such people are disappearing with time. Very narrow minded people are floating around in the IT industry these days. I have been taking interviews since past like 5+ years, and I really feel bad about how people are. Not good at all, not good at all. Corrupted mindset, polluted mindset, selfish people, egoistic people, attitude oriented people, and we just keep rejecting all such guys because we cannot work with them. If you want to work in an organization, you need to respect your job. You need to understand why you are there in this industry. You need to understand your responsibility to the system, to the project, to your team members. And that cannot happen just by copying, pasting. And that cannot happen if you just work for the sake of completing the work. You need to love what you do, and IT will then only value you. So respect IT, respect your job. If it is paying you for living a good family life so that you can have adventure, vacations, food on the table, like house for living, respect your job as well. Don't take things for granted. Don't take it for granted. Growth ये वो तो रह जाएगा, but it's cheating basically. Okay, so understand. One life, one job that you're doing as part of this, a career prospect, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. You cannot play hide and seek. Knowledge is the only way forward. Responsibility and attitude is the only way forward. The sooner you understand, the sooner your life will become better. If you get impacted with negative minded people, your entire future will be at risk. Okay, so with this we are closing the session. Have a nice time everybody, and all the best wishes for your future. Tomorrow we will be connecting again at 9 p.m. with another topic. Thank you all. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.